Okay, so it's 2025, you're looking or hoping to make a move to Arizona or looking to buy a house and you live in Arizona, and is it still affordable? Now, there's certain things we can do to make it more affordable, but one of the biggest things that I have done over the last few years with my clients to get them interest rates that are significantly under market rate is going the new construction route. And now I'm filming this because I had a first-time home buyer who hit me up yesterday and he said, hey, what about new construction? And the area he's looking in, still affordability would be tricky with new construction, but I said, hey, how about this area? So he said, we're open to it. It's much further than where he was originally looking, but I said, hey, let me make some calls to some people that I know that work inside of sales offices in new construction and see the best deal that we can get for you. Just got off the phone with one and he said he could get him between a 375 and a 399 for a new construction house. It's a spec. They could close in 35 days. Brand new roof, new AC, all the warranties, with a 375 to a 399, and they cover closing costs. So I was like, dang man, I should really make a video and talk more about this because I think there's a lot of people who could benefit from this, especially for a first-time home buyer where affordability could be a little more tight than someone else who has a home to sell with equity. So wanted to make a video and say, hey, here's what you should look out for when looking at new construction, and how can we dive into this a little bit more to give you just at least an idea of what it takes to go and buy a new construction house. Now I'm gonna go over building from the ground up, and I'm gonna be going over specs. Two different things, two different processes. They're not equal, they're very different. So I wanna touch on them, so at least you have something in mind. And yes, I know my office is a mess. I got a lot of things going on back there, so just don't pay attention to anything back there, okay? I'm right here, okay? Let's jump into it, away we go. All right, guys, my name is Jeremy Fuhst. I'm a local real estate agent here in the Valley, Phoenix, Arizona. Born and raised, East Valley boy. And so I know the area like the back of my hand, been doing real estate for many years, for a long time. But anyway, let's talk about new construction. I wanna talk about building from the ground up first and foremost. Now, this used to be significantly more popular. 2020, 2021. Then over the last few years, specs have kind of taken over that. A lot more people are going in that spec route, which a spec is a home that's either already being built or a home that is built. And there's a few different ways of getting a spec. Now, some builders just build spec houses. Other builders, they build from the ground up, but then the buyer backs out. They lose their job or whatever, something happens and they can no longer qualify, or they don't want that house anymore, and so they back out of the deal. Well, the builder keeps building the house, and now they have a brand new house they have to sell. Now, when it comes to going from the ground up, there's certain things that you should be aware of. Now, just to kind of give you a general arc of the process. You say, hey, I want to go new construction. Great, you walk into a sales office, you bring me, you bring your agent, whoever. Make sure you bring your agent the very first visit you go, or they're gonna try to kick the agent out of the transaction. You're gonna have no one to represent you. And always remember, the sales agent works for the new build company. They don't work for you. You want someone to work that works for you, okay? All right, done. All right, you go in, okay. You go walk the models, you say, hey, I want this house. They're gonna give you a few different options, different elevations, and away you go, you sign docs, boom. Okay, now you pick your lot. Lot choice is gonna be fairly important. Obviously the lot is a big deal, right? And certain communities are gonna have different style of lots, certain sizes, corner lots, lots that back to main streets, lots that back up to other builders' plots, meaning if you were to pick that plot and there's a different builder who's building behind you, you may not know what sort of house is gonna be built behind you. Meaning you could be in a single story with a pool and 3 kids and a wife or a husband, whatever, and then you have 3 two-stories behind you, right? That'll be built in 2 years. And so lot size and understanding what goes where and understanding that is very crucial. Now, I'm not saying it's going to bother you, but some people it could bother, right? They don't want their kids to have 2 stories surrounding them where people can look down and that kind of a thing. So privacy, obviously a huge deal. So something you should definitely take note of. Second thing is the fees that go into a new construction home are going to be drastically different amongst builders. For example, let's say you buy that house, right? And you go under contract. So the amount due, the earnest money, is going to vary. It could be anywhere from $1,000 to tens of thousands of dollars depending on the builder and the location. So understanding that, your agent isn't gonna know without talking to the sales office, or if they've done a previous sale before, which is why your agent should have a bunch of people in their phone that they could just call in different locations. Say, hey, like what's going on over there? So they can inform you of that. The other thing is, once you go under contract with the house from a new build, you're gonna have something called a design center appointment. This is where you go in and you gotta pick your fixtures, right? And a very good rule of thumb when building a house is you wanna add roughly 10 to 15% of the purchase price in upgrades. Meaning when you walk a house, when you go into a model, they throw in every single upgrade imaginable in that thing because obviously they want to show off. They want to show you how beautiful this house is, which is why when a lot of people go into these new builds, they're like, oh my gosh, man, I want this house. I want it. But it has every upgrade imaginable. They have hundreds of thousands of upgrades in that house. And so if you were to build your house with 0 upgrades, you're gonna be very underwhelmed. And so typically you want to budget somewhere between 10 to 50% on upgrades. That means for cabinets, flooring, countertops, ceiling fans, fixtures, different sorts of things. When you go to that appointment, there's gonna be additional money owed. Meaning, if you go in and you put $50,000 of upgrades, some builders are gonna take a percentage of that. Some people are gonna say, or some builders are gonna say dollar for dollar. Like every builder has a different way of collecting that money and how much money they're going to collect. So that's something else you really need to be aware of once you go into contract. Another thing that kind of skates by a lot of people is just what are taxes and HOA for that house? Because that adds obviously to your monthly payment. And you wanna make sure you're aware of that. HOA kind of scoots by a lot because it's just kind of buried in the paperwork, and you wanna make sure you understand what you're looking and understand like what you're going to be paying every month. I think that's pretty self-explanatory, but a lot of people don't know until they actually go under contract, which is kind of a bummer. You should obviously know about all of your financial obligations before that. Then as the home's being built, highly recommend obviously your agent and you, but you just going there as much as possible and walking it. Just get an understanding of the layout and get an understanding of what they're actually doing to the house. It's a really cool thing, obviously, if you have a family, to take your kids, take your wife, whatever it might be, and go sign some of the studs or the foundation, or put a Bible verse or something motivational or something in the construction. I love it. I love when people do it. My clients do it. It's just a really cool thing that kind of gives it a little more flair, and it's super fun to do. So like, why not, right? But go check it out as much as you can. The builder, if they don't allow you to, then hit up your agent and say, hey, like, what's going on? Why can't my client go and check out their house? Because you should have basically free reign to go see it whenever you want, as long as it's within hours. Because some sites are going to make you wear hard hats, or they just have different policies, but you should be able to go check it out as much as you want. When going a spec, now here's a big difference with spec and new construction. The best deals that you can find in 2025, right now, as of March 25th, 2025, when I'm shooting this video, the best deals are gonna be in specs. And I mean by far. You're not gonna get nearly as many incentives when going spec. You're not gonna get nearly as many incentives when going ground up. Now, depending on timing, I should have spoke about this a few minutes ago. When new construction are planning their communities, they're released in phases. And this is another very powerful thing when it comes to new construction, and why I think it's a very smart way to go. If you're able to get into an early phase 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, with every phase that's released, typically a builder does a price increase in their homes. And so if you can get in phase 1, by the time they're building out that community, your very same model could be selling for $100,000 more. And so you have equity very, very quickly. Very quickly. And so you can either pull that equity and go buy another house, an investment property. You could use it to build a pool in the backyard, whatever it might be. But there's opportunity to gain significant equity very, very quickly if you can get in early. Also, for example, I just got off the phone with a buddy of mine who works at a new construction office. I called him, said, hey, what do you got for this? Kind of told him about my buyer. He said, I got this thing right here. The incentives are nuts. 375, all closing costs covered. He said, we're ending our fiscal year right now, so they're trying to just move inventory. If you can time things right, you can get killer deals that are very difficult to compete with on the open market, in the resale market. And so looking at specs, now typically, if you work from home, specs are gonna be a much more appealing offer. And obviously depending on where you want to be or whatever, but specs are typically going to be somewhere on the outskirts of town. So the commute might be sacrificed to get the better deal or to get more home. Meaning you're going to have some sort of budget, right? You want to stay at $500,000, just for an example. Then you can either go further out, get more house for your 500, or you can go further in and get less house for your 500,000, right? So depending on what you're looking for, but the point of this video was to say, hey, there's a lot of great deals out there. You just have to know, obviously, where to look. And you have to have people in your phone that you can call and say, hey, like, what do you got going on right now? Because this deal, it's not gonna last long, because they're looking for the fiscal quarter. They're looking to move properties, right? They're looking to move inventory. And so this deal's gonna go. And so we wanna make sure we're on it. We wanna make sure we're always in communication with these people so we understand the best deal that we can get for our client, especially a first-time home buyer, because affordability is crazy. I understand, I'm empathetic. So anything I can do to get first-time buyers into homes for the least amount of money, I'm game, I'm in. So my name's Jeremy Fuhst again, that's the end of this video. But like, subscribe to all the things other YouTubers say, because it greatly increases, because it greatly helps me and all that kind of stuff. But whatever, do it, please. I love you forever. I'm gonna put my info down below. If you have any questions about new construction in Arizona, please let me know. I'm in offices all the time. I'm talking to agents all the time. I know what I'm talking about. Talk to you later.